I'm dead. Your bonus was gone in 3 months. Are we talking like a six-figure bonus or like a
It was
five-figure bonus?
$70,000, but it was 35 once it hit my bank account. Like
Okay.
after taxes, but still, like
Which was the biggest thing, like the concert ticket? What did you spend it on that you were like, oh God, I just wiped out half my bonus?
so at this point I was being smarter. I definitely like got bottle service when I was an intern. I bought Louboutins and then I returned them because I was like, this is like 10% of my net worth. So this is not a smart choice. I also did, like, back in the day, it was like hard to get a Birkin bag. So I went and put my name on the list and they were like, we actually have one. And I like snuck out of the store. Like, I'm not ready for this.
Who the f am I to tell you what to do with your money?
My name is Priya, currently managing millions of hardworking dollars. Enough foreplay. Let's talk
Money.
welcome to the F word. Smart money.
No bull.
Hey guys, welcome back to the F Word. Today I'm really excited for our guest, my dear friend for over a decade, Ashley Feinstein-Gerstley, better known as the Fiscal Femme. She is author, she is financial guru, she is mother, wife, do it all. I don't know. Ashley, I don't know how you do it all, but you clearly do. We're going to talk about all things money today, but welcome to the F Word.
Thank you. I'm very excited for our conversation.
So before we jump into all things money, you are an author, and a couple years ago you wrote a book called The 30-Day Money Cleanse, which is so empowering to think that you could, quote unquote, get your financial shit together in 30 days. Tell us a little bit about what it's about.
Yeah. So the 30-day money cleanse came about because when I was doing one-on-one coaching, I was saying the same things over and over again. And I noticed it was regardless of someone's income. And so I actually invited a bunch of friends to my house who were entrepreneurs. And I said, I'm going to give you a bunch of food and we're going to brainstorm how I turn this into a program. And one of my friends, he was actually sitting on the couch messaging. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, how'd you come here to help me? And he said, oh, I just ate a cupcake. I have to confess to my food cleanse group. And I said, tell me more. And so I saw that there was accountability there. Like he felt like he had to share with them. There was like support around it. So I ended up having a call with the founder of his food cleanse group. And I realized there was so many similarities between food and money. And so I turned a lot of what I was teaching into this cleanse program, which is not a traditional cleanse in the sense that you take everything out and then you finally can go back to normal. It's really about shifting your mindset and your lifestyle so that it sticks with you. And the average person saves $950 in the 30 days and a large portion of that going forward. And it's really about budgeting, money mindset. And I ran it live for 5 years. I actually ran it as a phone call at first because I was so scared of video and I didn't. And eventually people were like, can we see something? Like we're just dialing into this call to listen to your money stuff.
And then I turned it into a course, and then that became my first book. And it's fun. It's a workbook. And I hope that it helps people who never would have thought that they would pick up a personal finance book, but to help them really feel intentional and good about their spending.
That's incredible. So the average participant in the 30-Day Money Cleanse saves $950 in 30 days?
Yes.
We're going to drop a link to it in the show notes. That's incredible. And then following that, you wrote Financial Adulting. What made you feel like you had stuff left unsaid? And what is Financial Adulting all about?
So basically the money cleanse was like money mindset and budgeting. But then when people would reach out about anything else, I had to point them in different directions. And so Financial Adulting is essentially all the other money topics. Like I talked about estate planning, taxes, investing, all the things. And I interviewed I think 27 people for that book. And so it's not only from my perspective, but other perspectives and filled those gaps. And I honestly didn't think that I had another book in me, but a new project I'm doing has me thinking like, maybe I can write another book.
That is no small undertaking. And we'll drop a link in the show notes for your Financial Adulting book as well, because it's so great to get all the resources out there to empower everyone. So you're a money nerd because you're also a CFP, which means you really love this stuff. I'd love for you to just share a little bit about your background and what has you so in love with the financial services space.
So it was interesting. For so long, I refused to get my CFP because the whole point of the fiscal femme was making it accessible. If I could do it, you can too. And then if I add all these like letters behind my name, it's like showing you need credentials. But I noticed that when I was interviewing people for financial adulting, it helped me feel confident. And I'm like, if I'm screening for this, like maybe it would be helpful. I can just dive into it. But where I find my passion for it is just in the freedom and choices money gives you. And I saw it in my own life. I see it over and over again in my community. But for me, I studied finance. I worked in finance. I still knew nothing about my own money. I was making mistakes in every single area. And I thought, if I don't know about this, like who does? And it turns out very few people do or did. And I was at the time an investment banker. I quit the day after I got my bonus.
Good girl.
I went into a job that had like a lot more flexibility. I was getting out of work at 6 p.m. instead of like 11 p.m. And so I just started making up for lost time and met friends for cocktails and went to concerts and took French class and did a lot of things every night and just was bleeding through my money. And my bonus was gone in 3 months. And I realized if I don't figure this budgeting thing out, like I'm not going to be able to stay in this job that has a better lifestyle, because I'll need the higher paying job that has less flexibility. And so it was very motivating to figure it out. And I read a bunch of books and just started applying them to my own life. And on a dare, honestly, from a life coach, I started sharing it on a blog that was called The Fiscal Femme. And then people said, hey, can you help me? I needed help with this. And can you write for us? We don't have a lot of younger women writing about money. And so I was like, oh, this is a thing. And it evolved over time, like through many different iterations. You know, we've known each other for so long, but that's kind of where it all began.
I hear that a lot where it's like, I needed to figure my shit out. And lo and behold, I realized like everyone needs to. And so I started putting my thoughts out there. Your thoughts are so excellent. They're so nuggetable. They're so bite-sized. You've built an incredible community, an incredibly engaged community too. So it's one thing to like be putting your money tips out there, but I feel like you've done such a good job creating engagement and support. I'm dead. Your bonus was gone in 3 months. Are we talking like a 6-figure bonus or like a 5-figure bonus?
$70,000, but it was 35 once it hit my bank account. You know, like
Okay.
after taxes, but still like.
Which was the biggest thing, like the concert ticket? What did you spend it on that you were like, oh God, I just wiped out half my bonus?
So at this point I was being smarter. I definitely like got bottle service when I was an intern. I bought Louboutins and then I returned them because I was like, this is like 10% of my net worth. So this is not a smart choice. I also did, like back in the day, it was like hard to get a Birkin bag. So I went and put my name on the list and they were like, we actually have one. And I like snuck out of the store. Like, I'm not ready for this. So I had like a lot of things I thought I wanted to buy, but that was all when I was a banker. I think when I had switched, it was really about like the drip, like just the constant things that none of them seemed too wild. And I think that's the complaint I hear most often. It's like, Ashley, I'm not going on shopping sprees or these luxurious vacations, but like, where is my money going? That's what I was hearing over and over. And that's kind of, I knew in the back of my head it wasn't going well, but it wasn't until I sat down and looked at my bank account and said, oh my gosh, yeah, it's worse than I thought. It's gone. So this is not sustainable.
Okay, so that brings us to the topic of budgeting, which at Stash Wealth is a dirty word. We hate the word budgeting, but clearly it's a very solid technique for some. I'm going to allow you to talk about it in the way you talk about it and the way it helps your audience, because I'm not the person to talk to about budgeting. So how do you talk about budgeting and get it to work for your people?
So I also hate the word budget. I call it a happiness allocation because I think it's a much more fitting term. It's how we allocate our money in the short and long term in the way that will make us the happiest, not just now, but also later. And for me, a lot of it was just knowing where the money's going. And when I saw that and I saw the impact, because a lot of times, like for me, I thought, oh, I can't afford a vacation, but then I'm getting lunch every day or getting my latte every day. And it added up to an incredible vacation when I swapped it out. So I think seeing where my money was going, the true impact per year of those expenses, I could reallocate them in a way that served me. And I realized I was doing so many things because I thought I was supposed to be doing them. I don't even like shopping, right? And that was something I was doing all the time, like walking into stores, not wanting or needing anything. And now I had to have something that I
You
stayed.
never want anything until you walk into the store.
Exactly. So I'm like just torturing myself. Like I love looking nice. I love having nice things, but the act of shopping, I actually don't enjoy it. I would much rather someone be like, this is perfect for you. You should get this and wear it with this. Like I had a stylist once who gave me equations. Like that's what I need. Like this plus this and this. Good job.
Like clothing equations, like skirt plus top plus belt equals good outfit. Like what are we talking here?
Well, it was a very capsule-y. Like I had certain like dress pants, casual shirts, but always having like details, like at least 3 details. So a lip, an earring, like because I would just put on the dress and that's it, just like a little more, please, little more, please. So I know I'm not typical in that, but I think there's just things that our parents did or our friends are doing, and we think it should be bringing us joy, and it's not. And maybe the money could go towards something else. So that's how I think about budgeting, and it's ever evolving and very personal.
To take that like one step further, what would be the very first step that you would give someone to get them lined up to start thinking about the happiness allocation? Like, is that the first step? What comes before it? How do you get your own happiness allocation?
It depends on the person. I would say the first thing I have most people do is keep a money journal. So just write down or type out what they spend. And I think if it sounds absolutely horrible to you, then it's probably a good exercise. And I think that a lot of times what feels like a manageable step for someone might feel overwhelming. So just being able to chunk things down so that you feel like you actually will take the step. I think so much of this and a lot of the part of the money cleanse is it's not just about the things we know we should be doing. It's like the emotional behavioral things around it, the money mindset that has us keep going and actually take the step and be able to follow through and be realistic with ourselves. So, and the self-talk, there's so much to it. You could start with one category if tracking everything like feels too overwhelming. If you're curious, hey, I'm just curious what I spend on shopping, or I'm curious what I spend on dining out, or whatever it is, tracking one category you're curious about to just start, because we can make a beautiful plan or happiness allocation, but if it's not reflective of reality, it's not that helpful. It's just something on paper. And so we want it to be realistic. It can be optimistic, but still realistic.
I concur. I run into so many people who are like, I know where my money's going. I promise you don't. Start a journal. Like even if you keep it for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, I don't know what you recommend there as like a starting point, but inevitably it's not so much like tracking where you're spending as it is the exercise of reflecting on what you've spent and whether or not you would spend that again. Because all of a sudden now it gives you the insight as to, wait, I might have extra money that I'm spending in a way that I don't care about. And I could reallocate it, I guess, towards what makes me happy. Is that the idea?
Yeah, if you have enough, if your needs are met, that's what's great about it. It's like, that's why I think it's not this restrictive thing. It's an act of self-love, like treating yourself. But like you said, it's about the reflection. It's kind of like, if you're like, where is my day going? You track your time and you see where it's going. And, or, I feel really sick after I have lunch. Like, what are you eating for lunch? So I think tracking and reflecting, I think we're very due, at least me, a very do move culture. Reflecting is so important. And at the beginning of each money cleanse week is a reflection. Like, did you miss anything? Because if you missed it, we don't want you to be missing it. And if a lot of times it's like, surprise, I didn't miss something, which is the fun one. And really quantifying our progress can be helpful. Like, how much does this save me per year? What else could I do with that? Like, get it to be juicy and exciting in the conversation versus like, I'm saving,
Another thing that we often say is think about where you wish it was going first. So like your goals, like if you wish you could travel more, you wish you could spend more money at the holidays, or if you wish you could do bigger gifts when gifting comes up, like for weddings and baby showers and all the things, all of a sudden you have this inherent motivation to be a little bit more thoughtful about where your money is going because you have these things you really, really, really care about that you want to be able to do.
Yeah, it reminds me so before I quit my corporate job, I was building the Fiscal Femme. And I knew how much it was losing a month. Like I knew like this was how much I was losing. This is how much I had in savings. So this is my runway essentially to have this business. Well, but I was working, so I didn't need that yet. But every time I didn't spend money, I put it towards my Project Freedom, which was this like I can quit fund and fund my business. And so it was very simple for me to make those trade-offs at that time because I was so motivated by this Project Freedom fund that I wanted to like go out and do this on my own. So I think your point to the motivation, it's like, oh, I'm going to Morocco or I'm going to have this incredible holiday spread. Like having that in mind makes the decisions that much easier, I think, because you're thinking about the end result and it's real. That's where the money will be going instead. So it's not even a trick. It's just the reality.
One of my other most favorite topics to talk about when it comes to money is relationships, couples and money. And you're in a serious relationship, one might say. So I'm curious, when you got together with your husband, like what role did his financial savvy, or maybe he wasn't, play in your decision? Like, did he need to be financially savvy? Was that one of your criteria?
Because that's a great question.
Yeah.
You know,
I people think about it.
Right. I think it's really important. I think when I talk about couples and money, it's like, and I really do think who you're in a long-term relationship with, friends, even sometimes friends or colleagues that you're seeing every day impact your finances. Your partner impacts it so much. Like people will say it's the biggest financial decision of your life, which, I don't disagree with that. That being said, they don't have to be experts, but they have to be willing to communicate and willing to learn and get better at it and be collaborative, not like, so there are definitely red flags, but I think just because they're not good at it now does not mean like you can shun them or got to get rid of them. But I think the willingness to learn, the willingness to talk about it is important because even I just actually made a reel about this. I am very much like an outsource it and spend money person. And Justin is very much our do it ourselves and save money person. And so that is a conversation and I'm sure somewhere in the middle is probably the right balance for us and for our finances. But it's a conversation often that comes up, and he's very money savvy and so am I. So I think being able to have those conversations and compromise and understand something I have couples, or I recommend couples do, is talk about just like where they're coming from when it comes to money, because sometimes the way we're behaving around it is something much deeper and it helps us have compassion for each other. So like, what's your first money memory, or what was your family like growing up? Like if your family lost everything and it was super stressful and feast and famine, like maybe you'd be more of a saver or more conservative. And so I think knowing what drives those conflicts, you might be a saver in one area, but then your partner is a saver in a different area and you're a spender in that area. And so to know where they're coming from can help us be more compassionate and just get the underlying fear that is behind it or the underlying goal. And then I also recommend, if money is stressful, to have money parties every month where if something urgent happens, like you're hacked, deal with that. But if like the Amex bill is really high, say, let's talk about it at the money party. And we're going to set the tone that it's going to be compassionate and kind. Like I've even had couples have a jar with money. Like if someone says something kind of judgy, they have to put $1 in, but setting the stage for a productive conversation, and you can kind of compartmentalize it, but you got to deal with it.
Would you be willing to share some of the things that you and Justin, like part of your setup, just some decisions you guys have made about how you manage your money as a team, as a couple, and maybe like where you don't align or keep things together?
So as far as our roles, I think you can play to each other's strengths. So like I am the person who loves to go in and like track and look at what we spend and like track our net worth and do all that stuff. Like I report it back, we talk about it, but like I'm the one who like physically does that, where he's the one who's going to like negotiate for days with a mortgage lender, like between like multiple mortgage lenders. And like we each have our roles, or he's going to call and get like a fee taken off. Like he doesn't mind those long, tedious phone calls. I don't mind long, tedious spreadsheets. So I think as long as it feels kind of fair and you're both taking a part and doing the thing that feels good to you, I think it's fine to have different things that you each do, as long as everyone's in the know. It's interesting because I have a business, so I have accounts that are separate to me outside of retirement. I don't know if I didn't have that, maybe I would keep a checking that was separate, so I feel like I have my own thing going on. But I do feel like in that way, like he has an apartment that he subleases, and so he has his business, I have mine, we have those accounts, and then kind of these and joint things. And so I do, when I work with couples, I feel like there's this push to like have everything be joint. And I think for a lot of people, it works to have some things joint, some things separate. I don't think it reflects poorly on your relationship if you just like you want to have some things to yourself. He's really good at keeping the emotion out of things. Like he was able to sell our first apartment. We kind of went into this agreement together that we'd come up with a number, and we call it our make us move price. And if someone gives us that price, we'll move. And, I think
that's a great idea.
Yeah. And we tell agents, honestly, we keep it off market, but we're like, if you can, it has to be good enough that it actually is worth moving for. But I feel like it's less hard for him to have no emotion in it. I really stick to it that the number is good enough that like, yeah, you're like, that was great memories, but this is really good for our finances. So that's something we do. That's kind of fun.
You definitely sound like you're on the same page, and you guys like have a divide and conquer sort of approach, which allows each of you to have your own lane, your own strengths, and then let the other person handle the stuff that they don't want to do.
Yes.
But any money fights, like what is one of the things that you guys disagree on, or whether it's for the kids, or I'm very curious, like couples and money. I mean, that's 70% of couples fight about money more than sex.
I would say that he's a things person. I'm an experiences person. He's the person who does the grocery shopping, and I like to have certain things that are organic. I get the Dirty Dozen organic. He calls them college educated eggs. Like every time he goes to the grocery, he's like, do I really have to get this version? It's like 3 times as much. And I'm like, we've been married for 10 years. Like this is never changing. Just accept that I like fancy eggs, so he finally stopped bothering about the eggs. He loves buying kitchen appliances and he doesn't cook. It's like, we have our things that bothers the other one, and we tease, but as long as it's within limit and gets approved, overall, then we're good. But there are definitely, he's like, are you kidding me with this? Like, why are we
I want to know what that is. Like, what did he bring home? Or you're like, you don't even make pasta from scratch.
So he got an apple peeler. Also, we live in like apartments. Like it's not like we have unlimited space. So we have an Instant Pot, and he's made chili once in 10 years. And he's like, I need a slow cooker. And I'm like, oh my God, you don't need a slow cooker. Or he got these peelers because he remembers from being a kid, like these apple peelers, they sit on the counter and you turn it and there's like a peel. And the peel is fun, but he did one apple peel. So if someone says anything like, you don't have a soup ladle, like it's there, it's coming, and we'll never use it. So I'm also very much like I don't keep things I don't use. I rent a lot of my clothing. Like I have my basics, but like he'll keep a white shirt and think, there might be a white party or black party, and I need to be prepared. So I think not only money, but just like utilization of space. I like stuff and or just, beauty treatments. He doesn't spend anything in that area, but he likes to have the latest technology. So I think stuff versus experience, or I love meal service. Like I don't want to have to cook, he'd rather have cereal. So we're both divas in our own way.
I don't want you to get mad at me, but I have another device. I wonder if he has. I've been recently obsessed with an olive stuffer, so you can make like your own blue cheese stuffed olives for martinis. Hello.
I'm never telling him about this. He loves blue cheese stuffed for olives.
Oh my God.
Do they taste better when they're freshly stuffed?
I mean, it's part of the novelty, Ashley. Come on.
You can also brand it with your initials on the olive.
Oh, I actually want that. I want the ice blocks where you can stamp them with your own design.
Yeah, those are fun. My parents have that.
So fun. So fun. Okay, I'm going to ask a final kind of spicy question. Did you guys talk about affordability of your children before you had them?
Well, we definitely have before we have any more.
Kids are so fucking expensive.
I know. I think he jokes because he wanted 4 and I wanted 2, so we compromised and had 2. But it's literally I'm the one having them. But we knew it was expensive. I think we budgeted. I did mess up some things. Like I didn't realize camp. That was one that really surprised me. Our kids are in private school, and I just thought, wow, we can cover that. But then it's like, wait, then they have nothing to do all summer. So that was an expense that I now like set aside money for all year, or if we get a bonus or something in there to smooth that out. We made a budget, but it wasn't really a whether or not because of the budget. It was kind of like,
we'll make it work.
We're doing this. But I think for any more, it's definitely something that we realize it's like many-fold expense to add to someone.
I think that could be a whole nother episode. There's so much to talk about in planning for children. And most people, I think, go into it with that same, we're having them, we'll figure it out. But what does that entail? Because there's so many times that we run into situations with clients and they're like, oh my God, nobody told me. And so many things to plan for. Ashley, thank you so much for being so vulnerable and just like authentic with your story. I do want to leave after all that money talk with a bit of a palate cleanser, let's call it. We like to do this segment. I like to do this segment called Best Bite because I'm a foodie and I just love a good recommendation. So with that in mind, can you think of something that you would recommend? Something that you recently had at a restaurant, something that you made, but either a bite or a sip that you think is to die for? It doesn't have to be like recent, but maybe you traveled somewhere. What is your best bite?
Well, the one, if I'm thinking like best ever, it was on our honeymoon. We went to Piazza Duomo, I think was the name of it, restaurant in Italy. And it was like, I think it changes based on the season, but it was like a 57 ingredient salad. And it was so beautiful. It looked like a garden. And it was just so fresh, so many flavors. And I just remember being just, it took your breath away when it came out.
I love that you're sending me to Italy for a salad.
I'll send you a picture. I also love, I'm a pescatarian, but I love my veggies. So
okay.
It's not your typical salad. It's actually more like eating flowers, but it's beautiful.
Okay. Now I need to go check it out. That is awesome. So Piazza Duomo?
Yes.
And the 57 ingredient salad.
Yeah, it's a tasting menu. It's like, I think it's 3 Michelin or 2 Michelin star or something. It's a tasting menu, but that was part of it. And it was really beautiful.
Oh my God.
I'll send a picture. I'll find the picture.
Yeah. What part of Italy? Which city?
That's a great question.
Where was your honeymoon, girl?
We had like a very long honeymoon. We went all over Italy. We road tripped all through Italy. So I feel like that's a great question. We'll have to figure that out. It was like in a countryside, maybe in Piedmont.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Love chatting with you. Tell the people where they can find you, where they can join your money club. You recently started a new amazingly interesting, fascinating Instagram account. Please tell everyone all the ways in which they can stay on board for your journey.
Yes. So you can find me on all the socials at The Fiscal Femme. Like Priya mentioned, I have a money club. You can find it on the website, thefiscalfemme.com/money club. And it is a community where we have monthly events. We just had Priya come talk about investing, but we talk budgeting every month, investing. There's office hours, there's goal check-ins. It's just an incredible community of women going after their goals, like unabashedly. Someone posted yesterday that they hit the 50K mark and we all were celebrating. It's just not something you typically can send to like your group chat, Hopefully you can. But if you can't, this is a really great place to do it. I started a new account called How Do You Afford This? Because I just want to know. I want all the deets. Like when I see someone on a boat, I'm like, how much does that cost? Is that your boat? What does this trip cost? What does your house cost? I just want to understand how people are affording things and what they're doing savvy, what's helping it make it possible. And so I just started an account where I'm doing women on the street interviews, asking people how they're affording the shopping they're doing. I kind of want to go in front of like a Whole Foods and be like, how do you afford this? But also their homes, their vacations. And so it's been really fun and to just dive in and get to talk to people about like the details of their money.
It's so cool. I've already been following it and it's incredible the types of things that people say. I remember one girl I saw in one of your reels, she was like, "Oh, my husband pays for everything. I just pay for all my money's for the fun stuff." I was like, "Oh girl, that is one way to afford things." That's
Right.
awesome.
I know people have been really honest, which it's a fun and a voyeuristic way to see how people afford it. But I think it also kind of shows that a lot of people aren't affording it themselves. And so I think it can make people feel better. Like there's no judgment or shame in it. It's just like realistic. Like when you're seeing, when you have the same job as someone and they're living a different lifestyle, there's probably something else funding it. And so I think it's in a way helping us be a little easier on ourselves when we really understand where that's coming from, or it's their parents' house, or, it's, so that's been really fun. I hope it gives people some peace of mind.
Good reality check. Really, really smart point. Thank you, Ashley. This was a blast. And thank you, everyone, for listening. If this episode helped you or you found something you want to share with a friend, we're trying to grow the channel. So please share it, like it, subscribe, all the places. And we're so grateful for your support. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to The F Word with Priya Milani. If you like what you heard, hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us a review while you're at it. We're approval junkies. Don't forget, you can find a ton of great resources, content, courses, and other freebies at stashwealth.com. Now, for the capital S stuff our lawyers want us to say. StashWealth is a registered investment advisor. Content presented is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to make an offer or solicitation for any specific securities, product, service, or strategy. Consult with a qualified investment advisor, that's us, before implementing any strategy. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. There, we said it.
Did I have that up?